Mic check. Are we live? I think we're live. Are we good? Yeah. Why? Oh, perfect. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. No? All right. I know we've already played this song before, but we're going to play it again because it's mood, and it's here we go. Hopefully the sound works.
Well, I haven't slept in days, not a standard that I praise. Oh, the remedies they gave me don't seem to do much. I could throw on a new face, hang with people that I crave, till I fall into a haze of disaster. And I will sit, I will think, maybe this is just a dream. But if it were, would I still be this uncontrollably burns? Well, life is beautiful, but I don't have a clue what to do with my time anymore. I could play and drink and choke, then hurt everyone I know, wondering if I should have stayed at home. I'm a little bit obsessed with the pain that's in my chest. Can't decide if it's the end or if I'm overreacting. Let me break all the windows just to get some airflow. Let the dust rush in and I will ask, is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? No, I don't really go to parties. I have to deal with all the hard things, socializing, and the guy jumped off the roof into the pool. But I could sneak out through the front door. No one even said hi to me, so I don't think they would care if I just disappeared. Cause I'm feeling like a burden, but I know that's my own problem. Take a quick swim, catching feelings in the water. Every time I make a call, I don't like the answer. And I will sit, I will think, maybe this is just a dream. But if it were, would I still be this uncontrollably burns? Well, life is beautiful, but I don't have a clue what to do with my time anymore. I could play and drink and choke, then hurt everyone I know, wondering if I should have stayed at home. I'm a little bit obsessed with the pain that's in my chest. Can't decide if it's the end or if I'm overreacting. Let me break all the windows just to get some airflow. Let the dust rush in and I will ask, is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? Now I'm walking home in the moonlight crash. The road signs tell me don't look back. Thought I'd be fine till I saw that flash. Take a glance at the sky and it's falling fast. Pick me up in the car and I cry on the drive. You tell me you look gorgeous even when I lie. I say gee thanks, oh what a guy. You might be half alright. Now I'm walking home in the moonlight crash. The road signs tell me don't look back. Said that I might lose my step and fall face first into regret. Well, life is beautiful, but I don't have a clue what to do with my time anymore. I could play and drink and choke, then hurt everyone I know, wondering if I should have stayed at home. I'm a little bit obsessed with the pain that's in my chest. Can't decide if it's the end or if I'm overreacting. Let me break all the windows just to get some airflow. Let the dust rush in and I will ask, is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end? Is this the end?
Well, that was lovely. Thank you, Elise Eklund, for your contribution to Sunkworks. This is Sunkworks. I'm going to try not to get too close to the ring light because it turns me into Darth Maul. Okay. So I know I have a bad habit of going off script, and we might or might not actually be covering all of the things that I had planned to cover today. In fact, I think we're going to do exactly none of the actual heavy lifting things that I described in the show notes. Let me pull up the show notes so we can at least give them a surface level treatment. Okay, we are live. Perfect. Yeah, so all right. So there's a couple of things going on that have caused me to delay this stream for a few days now. I was going to do this, I think, on Tuesday, and the theme this week is actually crisis management, or triage mode, if you prefer. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes update of what's happened this week. So the first major thing that went wrong was my fridge went out. So you see some of these great videos. Actually, these videos are great. I considered having no song today, and just watching these videos with you for one more time. Okay, so if you've been following along on Twitter already, I'm not going to repeat everything I've already shared with the world, but my fridge ain't working. My freezer's fine. There's an internal diagnostic, which you can go down to test number 5 and execute the subtests, and you can find that the damper will not open. Now, this is a really common failure mode for these side-by-side upright fridges. And it's really well documented how to fix it. It happens to be a $170 part or so. It was a $150 part when this guy made this a year ago. I ordered mine before I had watched this video, or I might not have ordered it at all. But I guess they fail really easily. And it's possible that once I've taken the bad one out, I can fix it with nothing more than an X-Acto knife. Like, it's really, apparently it's a simple fix. Anyway, they don't build things the way they used to, but it's good that I can fix it at least. Well, we'll see if I can fix it or if I'm going to electrocute myself. But all of the steps seem to be relatively straightforward. There's an Appliance Parts Pro or some website where I found the difficulty rating is low to medium, so it's not a major complex repair. Basically like VCR, except with high voltage wires. So it's a 115 volt part, but you're not right. I'm saying it's like VCR because there's a connector. You just, making sure the connector is seated properly. There's a second connector for the ground wire, and then it's just a matter of making sure that the adhesive seals completely, and it's really nothing to it. You need a 1/4 inch nut driver, like a screwdriver without the screw head, and it's a really easy thing to do, I guess. So we're going to find out this afternoon, but that's just one thing that's gone wrong. So after that, I'll say I think that this happened because we left the freezer open a crack. We've had it too full, and the very first things I found when I was searching what is the cause for a fridge that won't get cold, I went through the steps and I learned actually all the cooling happens in the freezer, and there's a damper and a vent, and through the vent comes the cold into the fridge, right? So if that damper won't open and close, I hadn't gotten that far yet. I just read the very surface level comments that said overstuffed freezer is the most common reason for that issue. And say you had stuffed your freezer so full that the vent was actually blocked. I don't know if it really is possible to do that in my model of fridge freezer or not, but anyway, I narrowed in and I found that you can fix it with a $150 part or something like that. So I'm pretty sure we'll be able to fix that this afternoon. The second thing that happened is a little closer to the normal subject matter of Sunkworks, is my Kubernetes cluster failed. I was doing a routine upgrade. So there's 2 clusters, if you've been watching, 2 clusters with 2 nodes each, and I've been slowly planning the transition from the old cluster to the new cluster. So the old cluster runs Debian Linux, unstable, and the new cluster runs Talos Linux, which has a immutable base. So when you upgrade your Talos nodes, you download a new version of Talos, basically flash it to the empty part of the drive that allocates. It's like upgrading CoreOS or Chromebook even. They use this. It's called the Omaha protocol on Chromebooks, and CoreOS used to. So Talos does something like that. I don't know if it's Omaha protocol specifically. I don't think it is. I think it's their own homebrew version of that idea. But so the one that failed was Debian, and it turned out to be a cascade of failures. I don't know if that's related to the heat. The fridge issue may also be related to the heat. It's been 100 to 110 degrees a couple of days this week. At least the heat index is 110 degrees, and the humidity is very high in the summer in Indiana. So that may have contributed to the failure of the damper motor. And it may also have contributed to the failure of the SSD. It's a NVMe drive. So, but it was not the only issue. Actually, there was a cascade of issues. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but first, the upgrade failed to produce an init ramfs, and then booting was impossible without an external USB disk. So when I attached my gparded USB, live USB, to boot that machine, I found that it was indeed missing the init ramfs, and upgrading all the packages one more time and regenerating the init ramfs. I don't know if it was missing, but it was missing something critical to the boot. And it manifested by booting into Windows, because when I initially provisioned these machines, I have forgotten that I left Windows on them, so one day I could maybe resell them, since no one wants to buy a used Linux machine like this of the desktop class. Anyway, once I fixed that, I found that it did not solve my issues. There was still at least two issues left. One seemed to be something related to a bus error. I'm not sure if that bus error is the NVMe drive itself bad or the motherboard. It could be the motherboard still. I'm not really sure. But strangely, it was able to boot into both Windows and Linux with this error. So the only problem came when I tried to take a backup of the disk. Whenever I tried to copy a large volume of data off of the disk, it ceased to function. But all of the Kubernetes containers seemed to be working. The only thing that wasn't actually working was source controller, the Flux source controller. And it was an error related to FS notify too many watches. So let that be a lesson. You only need one. No, you only need one wristwatch. Don't go around wearing a bunch of wristwatches like some kind of nerd. No, that's not what it meant. But I did get this error on both of the machines, and I'm assuming the other one did not have a hardware failure. So I'm assuming that was related to the upgrade. Then I had apparently gone in and modified the number of notify watches on one of the machines, but not the other. But when I set that watcher notify up to a sensible value, source controller worked again on one of the machines, but not the other. The one with the hardware failure still has a problem. So I need to migrate off that machine. And with that, you've received the update. So let's see. So what we were going to do today was to migrate. We were going to migrate Urbit, or if not migrate, create a new Urbit planet or ship on the secondary cluster. And I think my goal has changed now, because we've been developing this water monitor program to quickly serve up the data from the USGS water. Well, I'll show you app.river data app. Here we go. This is what it actually does here. See, this works very quickly because we're able to load the data from this guy And as many times as we reload that data, or go from page to page or refresh this page, it should load the data from cache. And I guess that didn't look exactly like I was hoping it would, but anyway, the app may not be finished. I'm not sure what state things are in, but this is basically pre-production, and it needs to become production by mid next month. We're August 31st now, and I think maybe September 9th or 19th it needs to be production grade so that some students can use it to do some student things in my wife's class, where they study water science data. So anyway, I mentioned I was going to do all this. I don't think we're going to do any of that today. I'm really sorry about this. We're going to have a future episode where we talk solely about crisis mode and how to stay out of crisis as a service. I'm slightly jest, but there is definitely a reactionary way and a right way to deal with crisis and to predict the likelihood of crisis and to mitigate in advance the onset of crisis, right? You can avoid crisis by making sure the crisis doesn't happen. And it's easy to get caught up in, oh, we should have done this. But it is much better to redirect that energy and to say, yes, we should have done this. How can we make room to ensure that this happens before the crisis reoccurs, or to prevent another crisis like this? Is there a second order, third order change we can make, perhaps giving people a bit more time to study failures in a non-high stakes environment, like staging environment, so that people who are responsible for the failures know how to handle them before they occur, so that we're not acting in a reactionary sense to extricate ourselves from crisis, so that we're instead, we don't want to be the IT guy that everyone says, man, nothing ever works around here, what do we ever pay you for? We want to be the IT guy who everyone always says, nothing ever goes wrong around here, what do you even do? If we wanted to be an IT guy. But today, it's really important. I have to go fix the fridge, and that's still my priority. So I think this is going to be a short episode. I do want to talk about what we were going to do, and what goal maybe we'll have another part 2 type, part 1, part 2. I don't want to get too deep into series. We still haven't finished the How Hard Can It Be series to get a website up, but we're gonna definitely do that soon. I have committed to do a couple of websites for people, and I think that's the critical thing. When you have a project that's just in a paper bag and there is no target audience, there's no addressable market, there's no payoff, no person to make happy, no customer, then those projects tend to linger and languish a bit longer than they are maybe worth. And I hate to use that word worth there, because I think every puzzle is sacred. We love solving puzzles, and that's really what this show is about, is finding a puzzle that captivates our energy and attention, and making an attempt to solve it, and stopping along the way to smell the roses, to see, is there something else on the way that equally captivates our attention, and really spreading the attention across those things in as fair and a interesting way as possible, right? Because it's really all about keeping ourselves engaged and interested. If we can do something useful with our time as well, that's great. But it's more important to have fun and to enjoy what you're doing. And to never get electrocuted. Don't ever get electrocuted if you can avoid it. This guy in this video here talks about the 115 volt wires, and he's using power live wires to drive the motor, so you can see when it works and when it doesn't work, what is the cause. And he kind of glosses over the part where it doesn't work a little bit too much for my taste. He's taken it apart here, so you can see in this part you can see that it doesn't work until you free the clip. It's stuck, and once you free it, it works again for one rotation, and then it comes back and it doesn't work anymore. And that's not automated. That is setting yourself up for another crisis in the future, right? It would be disastrous if we took this part out to free the clip up, put it back in, and then loaded the fridge up with food, only to find out that it was just going to be cold for how long it takes to get the fridge cold, and then we would have a recurrence of the problem. That would be disaster. So it's great to know the failure modes in detail to understand what can go wrong, what will go wrong, in what order it is likely to go wrong, and how you can ensure that it doesn't go wrong a second time. You can't always prevent it from going wrong a second time, so you need both. You need the awareness of how the problem occurs, and you need the monitoring to tell you that a problem is in progress. And you do need two different modes of solving problems. When you're in production, you can't always spend the time to study and understand the problem. But if you haven't understood the problem, how can you fix it? How can you say that you're going to fix it? Right? Don't just reboot the machine and say, looks good to me. That is the worst way to solve a problem. If you have not understood the problem, you're basically just taking this motor out and putting it back in again when it seems the trouble has cleared. And that's exactly what you don't want to do. So you need both. You need monitoring in production and you need monitoring in staging, so you can detect failures, and you need a disposition towards promoting failure in staging, so that you experience enough failures to be able to understand the issue, right? Here's my favorite. If you can get the issue reproduced in staging, then it is fair game, totally fair, to just reboot the production instance if it's safe to do so and see if the trouble clears. But if you don't know if you can reproduce the problem and study it without a production incident, then you are totally lost. Totally lost. Okay, I think I am done for today, and I'm hopefully we will speak again after I fix the fridge, and we can get this thing off my desk part 2, where we progressively get the things off my desk that are causing me the most agita. I think the first thing is going to be the HEFI staging cluster. We need a place to put it on the new cluster so we can begin to think about shutting down the old cluster, because it is serving a production instance, hypothetically. Even if it's only students that use it, it will be a disaster if they come to class and they intend to use the thing and they cannot use the thing, and someone has to be called because they're only in class for an hour or two, and it will take at least a half an hour to get someone on the phone who can fix the thing, and that's 25% of their time wasted on the like most optimistic estimate. So we have to do better than that, and we're going to migrate the HEFI staging cluster. Hey, actually, we're not done. I'm going to show you what's wrong in whatever way that I can, minimally at least. Here, so you see things still work pretty well. There are a few things that aren't working. You can see this image pull back off. This is a different problem. If I go to the Mu cluster, where we have Harbor instance, you can see that the Acme solvers are running and they are not terminating. They should be terminating, and we should be having our SSL certificate renewed, and it's not working. And that's why these image pulls are backing off, because they can't fetch from Harbor with a bad certificate. They want a good certificate. So, like, there's lots of wrong ways to solve this problem. I'm sure there's a way I could say don't expect a valid certificate. This is an internal server, but that's really a cop-out. I wouldn't do that. You know me. And there are a couple of these. Let's go to the management cluster so we can look from the top level. Here you can see some of the source controllers are in a failure state. And if I go to here, you can see that they are all located on that one machine. The ones that are not on that machine seem to be okay. So if we go to that machine, let's see what's wrong. That doesn't look good. It's all red. Critical medium error. Critical medium error. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. But you know, I mean, it's really quite strange that everything seems to work except for that one thing. I'm not sure how long it will keep working. Maybe how long it's been in this state since I don't know when. Since there are very few failures that actually surface at a level that I would have seen them at. I'm not monitoring very well. So we're going to level up all those skills over the next couple of days. But first, we have to deal with the crisis at hand. And that's what the title of this episode is about. Get this thing off my desk. So just to close the loop, this is the thing that I initially hoped to get off my desk. And I need it to have a stable home. And that stable home needs to have a fairly large disk. That's so we've got our planet, and it needs to have a fairly large disk. It should be probably at least twice this size for storage of the planet or peer ship. It does not always need to be that big. We can have a test ship that we destroy periodically, but this other ship has a large history. Got something called a loom. That's where the memory is kept. The memory is kept in the loom on Urbit, I guess. It's maybe memory is the wrong word. The history or the storage, the permanent storage is the loom. Although I don't think it is permanent. I think it's like where allocations are done. So anyway, it's persistent from one boot to the next. And this is, here you can see, if I run my planet, we'll make the text a little bigger so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Yeah, you see protected loom there. It's booting, it's finding all the galaxies, it's coming online, and when it's online, we can talk to it here. That's where we get our turf connections. That's where we get our to-do lists. We can do all sorts of fun things on our Urbit planet. We're going to host a wiki. Actually, there is a nice wiki. Is there a link to the wiki here? I don't see it here. Well, that's okay. I have a backup copy. Someone sent me the backup copy. We're going to host this wiki. I don't see him here. Maybe I don't have him in my pals app, right? I'm not going to show you my list of pals because that's private, but I will show you the pals app so you can install it if you want. Where is pals? I don't see it here. Oh, it's way up here. All right, yeah. One of the first apps I installed. That's why it's near the top. Yeah, you can download pals from PalDev, and I guess a lot of ships have sunk. I don't know how that happened. That's too bad. Welcome to Sunkworks. But yeah, so Urbit is your personal server, and I really don't want it to be running on my personal workstation because it's a huge distraction having to start it up and shut it down whenever I want to use it, and it makes it impractical for me to host anything from it. Right? Like I have my wiki here, which only people can only read when I am online and using my Urbit ship. It has to be running. And it doesn't run as a background service, right? You saw me load it up in tmux here. So we are going to convert it to run as a background service. We are going to do that by I don't have any tasks on here. I put them on the other planet. I know that sounds crazy if you're not an Urbit person, but if you are an Urbit person, I'm sure it sounds perfectly normal. Somewhere in here. Yeah, I declared YouTube bankruptcy. I had so many videos left to watch, and I said I actually need to have fewer than 100 tabs for my own personal sanity. So we're going to go back and do some of these things. Here, this is the one. What I had intended to do before this show was to build the ver, I'm not sure how you say that, image where Urbit can run. So we'll pull this up here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is from Native Planet. It's a base image. And there's a bunch of things I want to stop to do along the way, but I'm still in the closed mode. I have to get sprint to the finish to get this thing off my desk. Then we can come back and do all those things. So the main thing is I want to be able to automate the production of this base image. So I want it to run, say, once a week to produce a new base image, and then every time a new base image comes along, I want to make sure that the actual ship itself that runs on top, I'm not sure if this is it here. Is there a Docker file in here? Yeah, UI Docker file. So this isn't the ship itself, this is the UI. I think it builds from... No? Maybe not? I don't know, I might actually have to buy one of these Native Planet devices or follow the instructions and let it install. It's meant to run on PureOS? PureOS. I think it was PureOS. Fully convergent, user-friendly, blah, blah, blah. Download PureOS. It's meant to run on hardware that they sell, and it comes pre-configured out of the box so that it's really easy. Here you can see Native Planet. But their software, as far as I know, is open source, so I should be able to run it on my own hardware. And it really has a light set of prerequisites. It wants you to have Docker, but you're not expected to necessarily have Docker. It will install Docker for you. Colony OS. Wow, I've never seen that. Is that... Oh, no. No, don't do that. Not right now. Not while I'm streaming. That will definitely degrade the stream quality. I'm not sure if this is new. But there's a manual. And if you just bought one, you can just read the Cliff Notes. Thank you for purchasing. Plug the thing in. Go to the place where you handle your Urbit ship. It's a bridge. If you've used any weird crypto stuff, you might be familiar with the concept of a bridge. And anyway, GroundSeg has its own manual, and GroundSeg is where you can host a bunch of planets or moons and planets or comets, I guess, or stars or galaxies if you have those. And we're just going to try to use little of this as we need to put this on Kubernetes. And we're going to automate the build of all of these images, and then we're going to automate the deployment and redeployment with Flux. So it's not guaranteed that you can always upgrade your Urbit runtime without causing havoc. I think actually that's specifically called out as a non-guarantee in a lot of places where there's a pinned version that software expects to run at, and if you upgrade to a newer runtime than that, it will not work, or you will have to suspend that software in order to upgrade to the newer runtime. But there's different levels of runtime. There's Arvo, and then there's Vir, and I think one is the virtual machine, and then Arvo is the inner virtual machine. Or I don't want to try to mix metaphors here and explain Urbit because we'll be here all day, but I want to be able to set up a series of these things so I can have my low value Urbits, my comets, my moons, maybe a low value moon, have those things automatically upgrading and actually detect whether the upgrade goes well or not somehow. Totally not sure how that can happen yet. That'll be a thing we'll figure out when we get to it. And if the upgrade goes well, I like to use cargo to signal that a promotion is possible for all the downstreams of that. So we're using like a dev environment to say, does the deploy even work? Then a staging environment where we can have a user sign off and say, we did quality assurance testing and it appears that it does work. That's a little bit stronger than the automated system says that it did work. The health check passed, right? Those are different things. I looked at it. I'm a human. I know what the system's used for, and I can tell you that it worked. That's a different guarantee. Then we can have canaries. This is a lot of fun stuff. We'll get to it. What I'd really like to do is cargo on cargo. Cargo. Here, this is another project called Cargo. I'm not connected to the right internet in order to get this, but cargo from, I don't know, if I Google cargo, am I going to find it? My cargo, Acuity cargo. No, cargo. It's cargo for KubeVirt. I'm sure that will get me there. Here we go. Containercraft cargo. Yeah, it would be a cool stream, and I don't think anyone's done it yet. Cargo on cargo. It would be a weird stream for me to do, maybe, because I'm so invested in other projects that aren't named cargo. I'm not going to say what they are, but if you watched many episodes of this, you've seen plenty of them. So, but we're lovers of open source. We're curators of community, and we love to evaluate the competition subjectively and objectively, right? We love to see if things work on both sides of the fence, our own side and on the other side, so we can make decisions and give objective advice. Tell people, right? I don't want to tell you, you should go out and use Flux because I work on Flux and Flux is good. That would be reductive and absurdist. I'm not going to do that. But I do think you should use Flux. But maybe not to the exclusion of other tools, right? There's a time and a place. Sometimes the community demands a thing, and so we support what the community wants. And sometimes different communities demand different things. Sometimes different audiences are receptive to different ideas. So I'm still talking, and I'm sure that there is no audience listening, but maybe one day someone will want to hear all of this. I'm pretty skeptical of that. I'm pretty sure I'm talking to hear myself talk. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to shut it down for now, but I'm also, it's important for me to be able to refer back to what I was doing at a previous time. And I think that, oh, here we go. Builder.dockerfile. No, that's not it. Skull seg. Nope, that doesn't look like it either. I think probably this one. Oh. So maybe we don't actually have to build Urbit from source. Maybe we can do both. I don't know. That would probably be better. Tag equals tag. Arg tag arg target arch. Oh, okay, yeah. I wanted to build a multi-arch version of this container, so that's what I was aiming for, and that's why I thought we would need to compile things. But they actually distribute binaries of Urbit for at least both of the architectures that I care about. I don't know if there's a third or fourth architecture that's supported. So we should be able to use this to build multiple platform-dependent images and then package them into a platform-independent manifest. Like, we've seen that before. We saw that with the Ruby project. I don't know if we did that on stream. But we've certainly done a multi-arch image before on stream. So we'll do it again. If we have already done that once before, we'll do it again. And if I'm mistaken, we've never done it before, well, then we'll be doing it for the first time. And maybe I'll actually get it done before we go on stream to do it. I'm not sure what priority this is going to happen at, because I've promised some other people some other things. And I would like to get those done in some kind of order, sensible order. But yeah, it's been nice being on stream here, and a little diversion from the beeping downstairs. The fridge beeps every 15 minutes to let me know it's going to explode if I don't act quickly. I imagine this is like sort of what having a child is like, except you can leave the room and no one is harmed. Right, but there is a slight risk of harm. I had to empty the entire fridge out and make sure that the food got used up. It's nice that the fridge beeps at you when there's a problem. That's actually great. I knew that I had no idea what the problem was. I started by going out and getting some thermometers. They have these little $7 fridge freezer thermometers that show you what is the safe range, and you can put one in your fridge and one in your freezer, or you can just get one and move it back and forth. But it helped me understand that the problem is the fridge is not fridging and the freezer is super cold. And that was the first clue to get me to, I think I need this part. Which I ordered sort of sight unseen, thinking if it takes me a few days to figure out how to install this part, it's going to take a few days for it to ship. And if it's totally beyond me, it's going to take a few days for someone to come here and diagnose the fridge. And if I don't have the part that they need, they're going to have to turn around and say, we're going to have to order a part, and it's going to take a few days. So, right, all of this stuff, if you can get to a reasonable level of confidence about what's wrong and what you need, you can front load this a bit and sort of make concurrent things happen in a way so that you're not without your fridge for longer than you have to be. And I know no one cares about my fridge. That's not what you come to this stream for, but maybe one day we'll have a fridge repair enthusiast community on Urbit where you can get immediate help when your fridge is out, as long as you know where to go. I don't know, that's a kind of ridiculous aspirational goal, but it's a very special community, and the people who are on here are some of them are horrible. Mostly they're not horrible, but you get horrible people everywhere you go. Sometimes, man, I don't know. All right. We're gonna, we are going to play. Someone's going to play us out. I'm not sure who, but let's pick another music. And then I'll see you next time. God willing, and the fridge don't rise. I don't know what that means, but I bet it's good. We're going to listen to this one. All right. All right, friends. Thanks for joining me. Big Floyd Oli. Thank you.